morning. This is Ted from Wandering Light and Dementia Talks. This morning I have the privilege of introducing my daughter who lives in New Zealand, so I think she'll probably get the long distance award of anybody we've had on our show. Kelsey has been with us here for a little while and had a chance to interact with me and understand a little bit of how my dementia works. Even though I'm at the early onset, there's probably changes that she's noticed from the last time we visited, which actually was, I think, 2019. So a lot has happened since then. I've had my diagnosis, and Kelsey's had a baby boy who is now 2 years old and is expecting another one, a little girl. So Kelsey, good morning.
Good morning.
So why don't we just start it out with that first question. What have you noticed since you've been with us? She was able to spend some few weeks beginning at the end of June, and then went out to stay some time with her in-laws, and then came back with Teddy, and then spent some more time here before going back to New Zealand. So she's kind of given a chance to see her and see me in different lights. We've done a lot. She's done more than me. Her and Christy definitely had a list of outings to do, and they kept Teddy pretty busy. So I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, so as my dad said, I was here for 3 weeks, then was in on the East Coast for 5 weeks or so, and then came back for another 3. And we spent some time here when my husband was with us, and we kind of had a lot of people coming in and out for 4th of July, for my son's second birthday. So it was quite busy, and the house was there's a lot of commotion between getting a 2-year-old off of New Zealand time onto Central time and everything. It was just quite busy for those 3 weeks, getting over jet lag and getting used to being here. And then we've had more time to sort of settle in August and now early September, just to be get in the groove. So there were 2 very sort of different segments of our trip, and both were tiresome in different ways, but both were fun. And so sort of the first time in late June, early July that we were here, I sort of noticed that my dad was quite tired, and he progressively got more tired as we were here longer. I think that you had some medication that you were sorting out at the time, so that was definitely something that contributed to it. And then this time you've been able to have more of a routine, which has been really helpful for you. And you're able to join on some of our outings, because with a toddler, we try to keep him busy. He's not napping right now. We've kind of given up naps, but my dad does nap, so we try to work around those naps, so it's just different. And so so sort of the differences that I've seen from, I think I was here late 2018 to now. Just more routine. You like to, follow the course of your day. You have an activity most mornings around 10, and then, you normally take an afternoon nap and those sorts of things. But so a very routine day that wasn't there 4 years ago when we were here last. So I think that's probably the biggest change in the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that 2 things. One is the medication that they were changing me on was an anti-anxiety medication, which by itself can cause you to be anxious or whatever, and want the routine. And then when you came back, I was on the routine. I was on the medication long enough that it was working, but it drew me back into my daily routine. Right, I didn't feel anxious, and when I have anxiety, it's like everything's shaky, and I get, it's a standard form of anxiety that most people who have it can suffer from, but mine leads into depression if I'm not careful. So having the right medication to work with it is helpful, but it was clearly different the first time versus the second time. It is ironic that now Teddy's not taking naps, and here I am.
Yeah, I kind of figured, 5 months ago when I booked the flights home, I was like, oh, well, my son's named Teddy, so after my dad's name, so Teddy and Ted maybe we'll nap together, and that will be a good afternoon activity. And then sort of going the month leading up to our arrival here, my son was just not consistently napping, so I didn't want to plan our whole vacation around.
No, and he needs
a
activity.
Maybe nap.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't want to lay down in the middle of the afternoon like me. So what other things have you noticed? You've had enough time to be with me and noticed about. Now I'm reminding people who are watching this video, I have early onset Lewy body dementia. I'm not in the later stages of that. There is some progression that has happened over time, but still able to do things. But routine for people who have dementia becomes very important. In dementia, particularly Lewy body, you also have a narrowing of field of vision, and so it's very easy to get very focused, which also leads itself to excluding things that are outside that realm of vision. I feel bad that I have this going on with me, since we obviously haven't been together for some time, and Teddy is at a fun age, but at the same time, it's really not something I control. Yeah. So what other things have you noticed, just an observation since you've been here? So the routine goes, of course, the routine of your day, but you can also have sort of the routine of the house, or organization of the house, so you know where things are. So the counters, like they've always been, but are very clean and organized, and when things are like maybe left out after a toddler snack or something like that, I know that throws my dad for a loop. So we do try and keep, the clutter down. I was a bit surprised that the fridge still has so many condiments and stuff in it, because it makes it challenging to find things in the fridge. But I still like to cook, so although it's harder and harder for me. But.
Yeah, well, your food has been delicious. So, so I think, having the organization of the day also sort of translates to having organization of your space.
Right.
Yeah,
if you're interested, one of the first coping mechanisms that I cited for people in an article, and also I think I did a YouTube video on it, is about getting yourself organized. If you have early onset dementia, one of the best things you can do for yourself is start organizing your closets. Eliminate, you don't need 20 different shirts of the same kind. Obviously most of us don't work at this stage in our life, so less is more. And actually, Kelsey is my role model for minimalization. She has adopted a minimal lifestyle for some time, and I really applaud her with that. In fact, I look around my office right now, and it's really a mess, and that's because I didn't want to spend unnecessary time organizing it when I could be upstairs or whatever. It'll get back in order once they go back home, but that's not important, and I can live with it. But I prefer, like people with, I prefer to have less clothing, less shirts, less socks in the drawer. No, I don't even wear socks anymore, but less to choose from. And so that's probably something you've noticed. Right, and so do look up that article if you're interested. Yeah, I listed it as the number one coping mechanism because that lack of complexity gives you freedom to do other things and not feel like you've got so much to take care of. And I know Kelsey and John are great at not, even with Teddy, of not having too many toys and that kind of stuff. Although we've introduced a fair amount of clutter to keep Teddy entertained. What else have you noticed?
Let's see. I guess sort of the nerve pain has been obvious. Like often at the end of the day, it's worse where you get maybe a twitch. And so that's been obvious more so on the first leg of our visit than on the second. And I think that it is related to the medication switch.
So I have been diagnosed with Parkinson's as well. And so that the jerk that's caused by Parkinson's it can only be controlled by a certain medication because they don't want to give me dopamine. You don't give people that have Lewy body dopamine. That's what normally is given to people with Parkinson's, and it's fine. It helps them get rid of the shakes and the stutters, but it hasn't. I can't take it. So they've worked to try to change my medication or up my medication to deal with that, and then it takes time. All of these things are things that take time. What about what have you noticed in terms of how I interact with Teddy? I'm troubled by I don't feel like I'm as interactive with Teddy as I could be or should be, but I don't know quite what to do with it. But I don't have an outsider's point of view.
I mean, different moments in time you interact differently. I think it just sort of comes down to your energy and at the time.
Yeah.
So at different times, you interact differently, and I think that's normal for anyone. It's just probably more extreme with you. So sometimes, occasionally, you've been able to like play with him with his cars and those sorts of things. But if you are also thinking about maybe dinner or other things like that, then you have less capacity to interact with Teddy, like we all do.
Yeah,
I mean,
singularity of focus. Yeah, absolutely. Again, that going back to that not being able to multitask, I guess is a good way of putting it. It's hard. We've always talked about using your chits. It's also easier in the morning than it is in the afternoon or evening. As the day runs on, I kind of burned up my chits from morning, and then it's harder in the afternoon or evening. Teddy and I have found something that we do very well together, and Teddy has become a great train buff, and he loves looking at trains and model trains, and so he's more than happy to sit with me, and we watch model trains on TV. I'm afraid he's going to be disappointed when he goes home because I don't think he's going to get to do that as much.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think there are certain bondings that we've adapted to that I wouldn't have thought of doing before.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So we're heading towards our time here. Any last thoughts or comments for people that have parents or loved ones that that are just starting? Because I really can't speak of dementia in a long-term point of view. I'm not there yet, so I don't want to pretend that my case of dementia is relative to somebody who is further along. But it's for me, it's one thing that I've advocated, and one thing that doctors advocate is catching dementia early. One, because of medications; two, because of coping mechanisms; and three, quite frankly, your family needs to know what's going on with you. If you hide it, just put it off to aging or whatever, you're probably doing a disservice not only to yourself because of the first two reasons, but to your family. So, any thoughts on that?
I guess sort of on a different note is just sort of as family, being patient and understanding and listening are like some of the bigger things that I think you can do. And, you know, watching my mom as the caregiver, also she has, you know, just as much patience with now as she did when she was a younger mom.
Yeah.
So I think patience is a big thing for everyone involved with dementia, the both family, right, person with dementia, and the caregiver. So I think that's, yeah.
Well, good. So I want to keep it around our relative time. There's obviously lots of questions that could be added to this, but I think I really appreciate Kelsey, one, doing this for me. Definitely get the long distance award. And I hope you all enjoy this. This is Dementia Talks, brought to you from wanderinglight.com. That's wandering light, LITE.com. And we want to wish all of you a great day and be positive. Bye-bye.
Bye.